Now, so happy fall, everybody, and welcome to the first round of uh, of NIRA. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention before we get going is that if you haven't watched the GMG presentation yet, please do, and also read the document. We would love for everybody to get to the game at least an hour and a half before the game, and just go through that rematch protocol so you can get it done before teams warm up. Especially in NIRA, there are a lot of games that are broadcast, so it's very important that you reach out to the coaches, make sure you get the kickoff time, and that the games can start on time. Okay. So let's get going. First game of the season, Akira and Lee. Hello.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
I'm great, thank you. And
Yeah,
yourself?
everybody. Yeah. All right. So yeah, this was my first 15s match since June. Lee and I had a nice conversation going into it about how we are going to kind of help get myself ready for making that transition from sevens to 15s, which is
Hmm.
for me, and I always find that a little challenging. I feel like I get a little trigger happy with the whistle and everything like that. Um, so we talked about coming into the match, looking, using scrums as a spot to kind of reset, make sure we're ready to go, slow everything down at the scrum, just to that's one of the biggest differences between sevens and 15s. So um,
Hmm.
using those there productively, not just for the sake of scrummaging, but as a spot to kind of get myself ready for the next phases of the game and such. Um, the game itself was oh, and then for adjudicating the breakdown, I wanted to avoid that trigger happiness that I was talking about. It was instead of trying to make the picture fit like a snapshot in my head.
Hmm.
I was coming in much more thinking about just like trying to go through sequence and using that as kind of the foundation for the day for myself. Um, so
Lee?
coming out of the match, I felt, oh yeah, sorry.
Hmm. No, so no, carry on.
So
I thought you were finished.
coming off the field, I felt I wasn't sure. I had mixed emotions coming off the field as if I had you know um, done a good job or not, um, and I wasn't quite sure like if I had kind of achieved my goal of not being too trigger happy, and then after the review I felt a little bit better um, about it. There were definitely a lot of spots that I want to improve on. But I think
Hmm.
it kind of came out as a good first match of the year.
Great, Lee.
So, some interesting pieces. If you look at the stats, it's like you have a completely different game in the first half and the second, just like you 20-0, then you have 7-7. So it really goes along with that concept of you do a rugby game 20 minutes at a time or however you want to break it down. And and he did a really good job because he also he went into this, he was going to change his how he was going to adjudicate the tackle, and I thought that was really brave, right? And I think he did a good job trying to work through trying something new, but also trying to maintain good standards at the tackle. So, and he's very thoughtful. If you want to see a really good thoughtful report in comments, I would highly recommend reading his stuff. So, but yeah, a good game to watch right out of the gate.
Yeah. What did you either of you? Because I know she made a commentary about the tackle assist and tacklers and that, and taking it a bit slowly and trying to play through things rather than penalizing early. Did that change during the game, or was it mostly consistent?
Um, so I was definitely slow at addressing the tackle assist.
Mm,
Um, I got stuck, like, you'd see these, and you see it a lot in this competition. You see a lot of the like,
yeah,
the jackler waiting. Okay, they have the tackle
right,
coming in, and they're gonna, ride the person down a little bit.
sure,
They're like crawling with the hands to help. Not that they're necessarily helping them get to the deck, but to put themselves in position. And we need that good clear release there. And a
mm,
couple of times, like I saw it happen, and I was like, you know what? They're not in very strong body position. Um, the black is going to blow them off of this rock, and I won't have to worry about it. And then that didn't happen. So then we'd have these. There were two like just agonizingly slow tackle
yeah,
assist penalties out there, and then finally, like late in the second half, like the third time I saw it, I was like, we can't have this slow anymore. Like we need to let this
yeah,
black we need to let black play a little bit how they want to play.
yeah,
So I was happy I was able to make the adjustment. I was disappointed that it took kind of a long time to make. There were other opportunities in there to do something about it, and the ball did get made available. And now that I'm like kind of saying this out loud, you kind of see I was having a
mm,
little bit of trouble figuring out what to play through
yeah.
and what to get out there, get
So
out of
which
there.
ones are we going to look at first? You got four clips here, right?
All right. Yeah, I think I put four in. Um, what's the one at the bottom? What was the
Good scrum
I kind of
contest.
put them.
Don't forget the breakdown.
Oh yeah, so we can go to the Scrum one first. This might just be kind of a actually, you know what? We should do that one last. We should do that one last because it doesn't quite fit with with what we're talking about right now. Um, don't forget the breakdown, Akira.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
uh, you can kind of see like I go over there and then I immediately leave it. We have somebody that gets pulled through the ruck, and then we have a counter ruck and a turnover that never really should have happened. The
Yeah,
I should have been on top of this here. And like you can see right here, boom, I look away and
yeah,
somebody gets pulled through. And that's just, I did not go through the tackle sequence here. And
yeah, yeah,
the counter ruck there is fine, but it's easy to counter ruck when you have the first person removed from there. So
for sure. Yeah,
um, definitely a reminder. Like, yes, we want
absolutely.
space. No, you can't leave the tackle early.
Yeah,
Um, Moving up from there, first things first, sort of the same sort of thing. And we're here at, I believe this is a line out. And this one, oh yeah,
mm,
this is a tough angle, but there is actually an alternate angle in the link that I posted in the comment there. But same sort of thing. We have a line out. I see the back line come up early, and so then I immediately start talking to the black defensive back line, where really, red was trying to maul here. Black actually, sacked it decently. It was a little slow moving, but I would say it was a good sack. We look at the other angle, and then you kind of have a few bodies on the floor, but the red ball carrier is just sitting like right at Black's feet at the bottom. And my
yeah,
attention, not that it necessarily was wrong here, but my attention was in the wrong spot. But
yeah.
yeah, if you were able to copy and paste that other link there, you can see it a little more clearly too.
How's the video quality so poor?
A bit of movement, clean line out, ball's out.
So there was a
Like Maul, the hand is
issue with the original like broadcast thing, and so
Uh,
a good chunk of the first half was missing. So Coach Reed was kind enough to give me their like overhead their VO camera. So for the
Uh,
first half of the game, I used the VO, and for the second half of the game, I actually used the broadcast video.
yeah.
So you see, like, yeah, my attention's all in the wrong areas, and it's just, here, this is, context too. It's very clear. They're inside their own 22 or around their own 22. Um, they're going to
Yeah.
secure the ball. They're probably going to maul so that they can kick out. And I'm goofing around with the back line. My arms are waving and gesticulating, not being helpful at all either. So just
And it
another
looks
kind
like
of
the
reminder that
sun's in your eyes too.
the sun was definitely in my eyes. It was definitely there were a couple of lineouts in the first half from that side where coming out of the lineout it would take me a second to adjust.
Yeah, you should go and stand at the back, just so the sun's not in your eyes. It helps.
Just yeah.
Good
And then the one
presence.
at the top there, I know in yeah, so this we have a penalty against Black. Hard to see. I think it was for not rolling here, but then you can kind of see me walking next to the red players, and we're able to just kind of keep. Oh yeah, so here's the penalty, and we're able to just kind of keep, secure the breakdown, come out, you know, secure the breakdown, come out a little bit, checking space. Um, Red is definitely on the front foot here. They're playing slow, but they wanting to play slow, and just kind of, see what they want to do, allow them to do it, and it leads to a fairly good. I think that this is a try. I hope it's a try. Not to put it up here.
The
Oh
video
yes, this
ended.
this ends up being a try. I
All
don't know
right.
if they paused it or not. I don't really know how the video stuff works, but it does end up
Oh,
being
there
a
it
try.
goes.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So did you play penalty advantage there?
Well, we had they just went quickly off of
Hmm.
the not rolling, and I thought about. I don't think I played the like not 10 because
Not back
everybody was
then.
retreating, and yeah, and red was still, they were doing exactly what they were trying to do at that
Mm.
point. It didn't, we scored out of it,
No,
um,
that's great. That's
and
great.
it
It's
was,
just that
not back.
if they didn't score, you could have gone back for another penalty, though. So just something to
Yeah,
consider. And then the scrum.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this was kind of a cool scrum. Now you can see we have some better video again. Um,
Yeah.
red, comes off strong initially, and maybe, yeah. And then Black is able to kind of get back into it, and now forces Red to pop up. The problem here is Lee and I talked about. At this point, I should have penalized, probably should have penalized Red once they popped out. Um, you know, in my mind, what was happening is Black has a little bit of momentum here, but probably safety first in these situations, especially like first match of the year type of thing. We have people
Hmm.
down. Um, but it was cool because it was like, like Red got a good shove, and then Black got back into it and was able to actually, win the scrum, and then and
Yeah.
truthfully should have earned a penalty there. But um, and then the Black number 8 in this is not really bound in anymore, but her
Yeah.
not being bound in, them still being able to win the scrum, it's more a testament to good scrummaging there, and the this should be Black's ball, so it didn't really cross my mind to do much about it.
So what would happen if this was the last play of the game and Black 8 picks up the ball and scores a try and wins? Is that fair? Just asking. And then the other
uh,
question is that I noticed in quite a few games that the number 8s don't have their heads in when they on bind. right? The eights have to have their heads in. So just make sure that we're not getting slingshot. I noticed in some of the other games, not this one here, but the red eight was a little bit loose there as well. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that's something to think about, right? I mean, like if you have that situation, say it's a World Cup final, and that's what happens. Interesting. Something to think about before next week. Great. So, is there anything else, Akira and Lee?
Yeah, since it's early in the season, what something to think about is the way to triage, if you're seeing stuff or not, right? Like if am I not seeing something, or am I seeing it, not reacting to it? And it's a good way to do some self-reflection and figure out, okay, well, those are two different problems of the same situation, right? So how can I
Yeah.
get a trigger on the field? And the other piece of it is when we talked about, moving away from the tackle too soon, or whether it's a scrum or something, is just being present, right? Is I think sometimes we want to just go to the next thing, go to the next thing, go to the next thing, because we like the the continuous feel on rugby. But you have to be present, right? Like if the ball is not secured in a tackle, like you need to deal with that first. And at that point, it doesn't matter if the winger's offside. If you're not managing the contest, then everything after that is kind of irrelevant. So it's just this concept of just being present and using your checklist to be present and making sure that the phase of rugby that you're adjudicating is happening the way that legally, right? Because we can't always make magic happen, but we can adjudicate what's in front of us. So
Absolutely. And I also think it's still early in the season, but one thing that I that I would like to see, and I'm sure we can all agree, is that we just need more urgency out there. So when we went through the game management guidelines, we even had that clip of the Navy Army game with Amelia, where she's moving from breakdown to breakdown, and how much effort she's putting in to get there all the time. And I think that urgency is really important, and it lifts the energy of the game. So just think about, like, you go there and you sort of shape the game and bring energy into the game, and you're like there on the attack, and you make sure there's space, and you make sure that the ball is won, and that you get the scrum set up, that after 2 or 3 scrums you don't have to have resets anymore, restarts. The game is going, the game's moving, so it's important to have that urgency every single game, raise the energy of the match. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Kira.
No problem.
Camille and Peter. Hello.
Hello. Sorry you can't see my video, but I can assure you I look great. So for the game I had, I was happy with the game. It was definitely one-sided. Harvard defeated Quinnipiac 55-14. The last 10 minutes were so excited because Quinnipiac, that's when they scored their 2 tries. And that's when Harvard committed most of their penalties. And so Peter and I had a great conversation about that, where there were so many penalties for Harvard at the end, it was worth having potentially a communication with them, or something along those lines, because obviously they're not always going to be winning every match. And so it's important to control them appropriately when they're under pressure. So for this match, the goals I had set up in advance, in discussion with Peter, is that I wanted to have more concise communication. I talk a lot, so minimizing that, and with that in mind, also thinking about having very deliberate, slow secondaries, which I know is a very basic goal, but it helps me with speaking more concisely. I also wanted to be more tedious in my lineup setups. And so I go into detail about that in this game plan area. And then managing offside. So, I'll do that checklist getting to breakdowns, and then I seem to just throw offsides out the window. So for this game, a lot of my penalties came from offside, so I noticed them. So moving forward, it'll be something to potentially, you know, working with the teams to not only give offside penalties. So, anyways, we have 5 clips to share.
Great. Peter, do you have anything before we go to this?
No, I mean, it was unfortunate that there wasn't any ref audio on this, so we can't really talk to how well the communication piece went.
Yeah.
Other than a few shaky secondary signals. Line out went pretty well. What we discussed is Camille tends to feel guilty if she slows down teams that are ready to restart because she's putting all the pieces in the right place. And we talked about putting that responsibility back on the players. They have to show her the good picture. And it's not her fault if they're not giving her the good picture when and she has to say, no, wait, we got to get this right.
Yeah.
Which is a concept that carries over, across almost every phase of play.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, I was excited for Peter to identify that I am feeling guilty when I have to tell people to improve player behavior. So when I do that pregame chat, I can make a statement to the scrum, to the front row that I always do already, saying, don't speed up what you're doing at the scrum when I'm speaking because I'm waiting for specific action. So what I can incorporate saying, and it's more for me to get into that mindset, is saying, don't jump any of the words because I'm looking for you to give me the right picture. And so reminding myself that for the game. Okay, so for the 5 clips, we have 3 things that are lousy and 2 that I'm like, I did this so well. So I guess we can start on tight head anglers. It's for a scrum. So the scrums were actually really great for this game. And this clip is at the 70th minute, almost the 79th. And so you're going to see the tight right head, their body position is such that it has a negative impact on the scrum.
Mm-hmm.
And notice the 8 slingshotting.
Yeah.
So this is an example of was complacent. The scrums were perfect. Like they were truly great up to this point. If I had been more tedious, looked at that new prop, I could have corrected this and prevented that collapse. I let them reset this because it was the first time the scrum went down, and on the scrum reset, it was perfect. But it's a great body position to look at.
94% ball out is pretty impressive. So,
yeah, Harvard was so good at scrumming, and Quinnipiac held it on their own. This clip, I had missed it, and Peter pointed it out as something that could have potentially been yellow carded. So you're going to see there's a loose ball, and white goes for it. So I'll let you watch it. So what you see is not here, because I know it looks like maybe. Okay, now you see the ball is loose. Quinnipiac has finally put Harvard under pressure, and she's getting tackled before she even has that ball. And we're in, Quinnipiac is finally in the 22. And again, if you look, this is in the 74th minute, right? I believe this is even before Quinnipiac got their first try. So their only 2 tries were in the last 5 minutes. I was wondering how, if anyone would penalize this or yellow card this.
So the ball comes off the Harvard player's head and goes backwards.
Yeah, 2 Harvard players sort of collide and knock the ball out.
Yeah. And she's played before she plays the ball, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's penalty and start working up. The player winning the race is taken out of the play.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's the defenders are all behind her. So if you're going to sell a yellow card, I don't think it's a tough sell.
Mm-hmm. And context, I didn't add. This is Quinnipiac was kicking for a line out from a penalty kick, and it didn't go out, which actually happened quite a few times in the game. So they were like, "Oh, red gets it," and so like white is like they are running up because they thought they were going to have a line out anyways.
Yeah. So the only thing that I would add there to assistant decision making would be when something like this happens in the game, your reaction would be, "Oh, red's in trouble," and then
Yeah.
you suddenly then you sort of raise your awareness of what's going on right now where we are right on the field, and that might guide you into making um, decisions that's appropriate to the situation.
Yeah,
So
that's it. I like that. Thank you.
what were your thoughts, Peter?
I thought that should have been a yellow card. I thought red was under pressure and white was in a position to, exploit that. It was not by any stretch of the imagination a penalty try, but it was a cynical act by itself. Didn't require any warnings.
Yeah, I think it's just also looking at where Camille happened to be positioned, and I mean it's difficult to go like, well, you could have been at a different angle because you can't imagine the ball's going to come off the other player's head and go backwards, right? So it's also just trying to understand how she saw it. So the red player would have been in the way, the one making the tackle. So it would be difficult to make that call unless for some reason she was in a different position. You might have seen it differently, So it's just one of those situations that the angles make it difficult, right?
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there were supposed to be radios, but they were identified as broken in the morning, so that was a bummer.
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, okay. So this is a really fun one. I penalized the wrong person. You can see that the tackler assist 12 red never releases.
Yeah.
And rather I penalized white for not releasing. So
Yeah. So the one interesting thing here is just, if you got back quicker and got in a bit deeper, like you see at some point you go, I'll just go straight to where the ball is instead of keep running that loop,
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that. Landing spot, picking a better landing spot. Not for this one in particular, but for the game in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I noticed that a lot.
Landing spot was looking very 7-y.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's going to happen. And I noticed quite a lot of referees were doing that. They were running to where they think the tackle's going to happen rather than running to arrive at the tackle at a consistent angle all the time, and that just comes with as the season progresses and we get more games, you start getting into that rhythm of just running a bit deeper and getting those angles in, so that's fine.
Yeah.
It will help.
But yeah, it was a good clip to see that error. The next two, I just did a great line out setup, which I guess is fun to show after Akira showed having difficulty with the line out setup. So a compare contrast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing, you pause that for 1 sec, Richard, there. Camille stayed when she was setting the tunnel. She stayed there until she was sure that a white player was paying attention to her.
That's great.
Didn't just marks on the ground and walk away.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah.
And what I didn't show in my clips is my first line out absolutely missed the white back line being completely offside. And so I made a big effort to control their back line after that. Thankfully, that first horrible line out was in the first 5 minutes, but
Great.
And then the last one, I just think my running line looks great. So I'm running in goal for a try.
Right.
Yeah. Of course I could miss. Yeah. Of course I could miss the 9 doing a knockout materialized after, but yeah. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
Yep, no, it's a good game to watch. It's some good learning points, and a lot of things improved from last couple of times. So
yeah. Okay, I'm just going to go through these clips. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, and I think, like, just remember that every game and every meeting that we're on, just pick up a couple of things that you can learn from, and you can keep building on them, and just sort of keep getting better and better. Make sure that you always building on your performances. So I'm just going to go through the clips from top down. So, Timmy, are you here? Are you here? No.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. So this says foul play. We can hear you. Should I just play the video?
I believe this is the one where
Oh, yeah. Players tackled without the ball, yeah?
Well, the ball is on our fingertips, and the player's committed to the tackle. Is it foul play, or is it play on? I just want to see what other people's opinions are. It's a hospital pass.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Are we blaming the defender because the pass was poor and the handling was poor, or are we penalising for tackling without the ball? In slow motion, it looks like she has time to pull out, but in live play, maybe
not. Yeah. Any thoughts?
We see it
after speed? Watching it. Go ahead, Amanda.
No, I was just going to say, can we see it at full speed?
Mm-hmm.
Full speed here, it really looks like a play on, because by the time the tackler is committed in that, can you say for certain that they would fail at collecting that ball? I think the tackler's done everything right.
Tackler's got possession, played the ball and is trying to control it. I think the tackler's got to assume that she makes that catch.
Amanda?
You know that I would play on.
I know you would play on. Anyone else? Is there anyone who wouldn't play on?
I'm not playing on just in general because of how the tackler approaches it. And this might be from just how this looks on film, but the tackler takes an upright angle and drives from low to high and smokes the ball, or smokes the Princeton player making contact around the taller area, if not higher, with their shoulder as first contact. So the timing I'm okay with. The force and where they hit is where I'm uncomfortable. I wouldn't necessarily play through this.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, it depends. Sorry, Amanda? You want to add something?
I just wanted to clarify, Jeff, you're seeing that as a dangerous tackle?
So I think that you can penalize this. especially early in the game, you can totally penalize it, right? You just be like, he's got to pay more attention, right? You want to make sure that players understand what they can and can't do, and you can't just be sloppy like that. But I don't think it's a yellow card and thing. It's one of those close ones where you can either play on, or you can speak to the player, or you can just penalize it, and then everybody becomes a little bit more aware to pay attention to what they're doing. So I think that's where I would leave that one.
Exactly, and I apologize for making it seem like I go straight to the card. I was just working through the framework there for a dangerous tackle is all I meant by that.
Yeah, sure.
I don't see
But
that as
we're
dangerous.
penalizing this because it's late, not because it's high. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next one to me.
The next one is all about the angle of running of the referee. If you're running directly behind the referee here, if you're running behind the ball carrier, possibly awarding the try, but the referee did a great job of staying level with the ball carrier and getting in goal on time. Because in live full speed play, that looks like a try, but when you slow it down, you'll see something different.
Yeah, double movement. Yep.
When I watched it in live play, I couldn't see why the try wasn't awarded, but then when I slowed it down, you could see the double movement, but really you could see where the referee was, which is in the perfect place to make that decision.
Yeah. And double movement, which
she ran down the center of the field to stay in level with the ball carrier, as opposed to trying to get in behind the ball carrier and then making the wrong picture.
Sure. So the player got to her knees first, and then she went over and scored instead of just reaching and scoring.
Yeah, she propelled herself.
Yeah. So.
I just wanted to highlight some excellent booklet.
Yep. It's a good decision. Okay, this is me. I just put this clip in because I just wanted to talk about running lines. And again, we talked about it earlier about getting in deeper, not just sitting in the pocket, getting onto the attack. Let me just see if I can connect this. Just want to make sure I've got this thing connected and I can show you what I mean. Okay. Let's look at this. So again, it's sort of just running straight to the ball on the breakdown and dropping to the back over here. This is never necessary. There's enough time for the ref to come into the spot here, right? So it's at a 45-degree angle, and then everybody steps back. So the thing that happens, if you're up here, you sort of become a little bit disconnected from the game. We need you connected to the game. What happens is, if you move in here, everybody suddenly goes back. If you decide to turn your back and stand on the defensive line, it's like a magnet. All the players will come and stand where you are. So if you're in the pocket, always the pocket should only be a transition, right? And if you've got enough time, you should come around to the front. So you can see with the next one,
quick tackle.
The players start pushing the offside line, right? They're getting a lot closer and closer, and there's less space for the game. And even though, the ref sort of at a 45-degree angle overruns it and then becomes square on again, right? And then gets back into the pocket. So always work on the attack line. It's a much better place to be. The only time you're going to be in the pocket is transitioning. So you're moving across, right? What we want is we want all the referees to be very connected to the game. You're always working, always creating space, always making sure that the ball's available quickly. And your presence will also closer to rucks, and that will stop people from necessarily hitting anybody late or coming in from the side, etc., or any strange things happening when the ball's already been secured. This next one is an interesting one. So, and Amanda, I've actually got another. This is longer. There's a replay here, so we're going to go through and look at the replay. I'll just show this angle first.
Oh, Tower bulldozes.
Okay, so the player goes down. What I want you to look at now is just look at the player's arm. Right. And I think the thing that makes it interesting over here is that the player, they actually have their arm, their elbow down. So you can see, because the referee's in the way, you can't really see it very clearly. But as they're pushing the defender away, you can see that they're not lifting their elbow. They actually have their elbow down and they're pushing the player away. Let me just see if I can go. There's going to be a replay here coming up shortly. Here we go. So here you go. You see, they're just pushing them. They're handing them off, right? Everyone happy with that? It's just a handle.
Yeah, Richard is John. In real time, what I saw was was what you're saying. I thought the arm was extended and it made contact on the body. I didn't think it got high into the head neck area. So that's why I played on. Even though the player was on the ground and she looked as if she was in a bit of trouble, I thought that I would let the sequence play out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it was just a handle, and it was just a strong handle, you know. And you know, the defender they were already on the back foot, so I think it was good to play through. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, that was good that you played through that. When I initially saw it, it just looked like you know, and I mean, you made the comment in your clips, right? You thought maybe it's that elbow coming up, but it's not. She actually just hands her off.
Yep.
Good. We have 2 more clips here. Tom, are you on? Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You want to talk us through this one?
Which one is this? Is this the head-to-head?
No, this is positioning.
Oh, yeah, positioning, yes. So this is the positioning one. So, you know, Jeff did a great job at this match, but his back was always towards the back to the back line, you know. So as you can see here, he's angled, so these guys can cheat and come right up. So the coaching was, hey, take be east-west parallel, perpendicular to the line, parallel to the line. Don't turn your back, right? That's the big problem, because a faster match and somebody, shooters coming through all the time and you can't catch it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have one more clip, I think. And this one?
Yeah, this is the head-to-head. So let it play out and see if you guys see what happens here.
Wow, that's a very short clip.
Oh, that was a bad. Okay.
Okay, well, we can go and find it.
I thought I made it faster. Let me put some more time on there.
Let's see. Yeah, we can totally find it. So
let me give the preface. So the ball was away. Jeff has a good angle. And
Sharks, it's a fresh start for Maggie Miles. I'm going to say.
Yeah. Carry on. I'm just waiting.
So Jeff has a good angle, and the person has possession of the ball, passes it, and just as she gets it away,
game was on the 26th, Richard. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Never mind.
Does anyone remember what time it was? It would be under foul play, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 68 something.
Okay, here we go.
I would not swear to that.
Yep.
Okay. Somebody tagged it as the first half, eh? It's in the second half. So.
Yeah. Let's go back. So it happened at the beginning. Go back.
Okay.
See it right there. Yeah, you got to slow it down and see it in slow motion. It's hard to see. So as you can see here, Jeff's got a good angle. This person's running with the ball. Tackler's coming in. She passes it right there. Now watch what happens. Boom.
Oh.
Head to head.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff is looking where the ball's going.
Sure.
So what the coaching here is, you know, I'd like to hear from the group, but I think the coaching is, you know, you're trying to follow the ball, but maybe use your peripheral vision. And sometimes you couldn't see it. Jeff said he got bumped. He kind of didn't see it because he got bumped by another player.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's a tough one. He didn't miss much, you know, but this one was, you know, could have been a red card. There's a red card, you know, because head to head person was not, you know, following the procedure, you know, of lowering their shoulder, just wrapped in and smashed the head. Luckily, nothing happened. Interested to hear about the group, though, on this. Because the tackle wasn't late.
And there's nothing really to mitigate it either.
Right.
Were there ARs in this game or not?
There were, but they were, yeah, they were horrible. They were, well, I shouldn't say that.
There were touch judges is your answer.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So, can we go back 5 seconds and see why there's so many people between him and where the ball is?
Sure. That's exactly that's what we should be talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's on the wrong side somehow. So what happened?
Yep.
Can you back
I'll play it next one?
Is a whole sequence that pulls into it. First, just the 5 seconds before that. If you pull into what led to that situation here, because if I remember right, that's a kick to clear, and that's why I was running down to get.
You sure are right. Yeah, it was a kick.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of just thinking about where you're going to be, right? And I think once they caught the ball, you sort of have that moment where you just relax a little bit instead of what you would do is come to the blue team side, right? As quickly as you can because they've got the ball. And then if you look at sort of ball and line running, if you came back quickly here, you would have been around this area, might have seen it from a different perspective, right? So rather than just running across here. So getting into those positions quicker.
That's what I took away from it as well.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, cool. So we just wanted to, John, you're on this call, eh?
Yeah, I'm here.
John, yeah. Remember the coach asked a question about this.
Yeah.
Which I think was the only coach comment that I saw. So I don't know if you just want to talk through that. And
yeah, in what I saw at the time was, as I put in the comment, I saw the original the white player drive up and then lose their bind. But then looking at the video and seeing coach's comment, I think it's accurate that I got this wrong, and it was Mount player that drove up and caused the scrum to be disrupted.
Yeah. Because also think in one of those situations, I mean, like it's not always, but like I mean, at least 90% of the time, the player who's going to disrupt would be the opposing loosehead, right? So in this situation, because you look where they're on the field, what do Blue want? Blue just want a stable ball, you know. Blues, and because the scrums have been pretty even through the game, at that point that they, you know, Blue would just want a stable platform to get the ball out again. So I think, you know, when you talk about contextually, what would happen here is that the defensive loosehead would be disrupted. And as we're going into the World Cup and you watch a whole lot of World Cup games, you should definitely have a look at that because, you know, the defensive loosehead would often be the one that's trying to disrupt in one way or another. But I think that is...
Hey, Richard.
Yes.
Could I pose a question kind of from a coaching standpoint about this one?
Absolutely.
I think my girls, so they felt that that maybe the loose head going on an angle was a bit more prevalent than this one example, and it was something that our tight head was feeling, but they have a really hard time, I think, articulating That at scrum time, and I was just kind of wondering for the group, for you, what communication would come across well and help them kind of articulate what they're feeling at scrum time, to have a productive kind of dialogue with the referee to look for what they're feeling, because obviously tight head can't exactly see what's happening, but she definitely has a sense of what's going on with her body.
I think that most of the referees would be pretty comfortable if a prop said something to them. I don't think that the referees would have to go especially some of the teams, like I saw someone at a number 13 was the captain. You don't want the prop to go and call the 13 to come tell the referee that the player is pouring in on them. So I think it's quite okay for the prop just to say to the referee, can you just make sure they're straight? And for the referees to look at that, because it's something that, it can be very disruptive over the course of a game. So we would definitely want to have a look at it. And I also just want to say to the referees then, are you comfortable with that as a coach?
Yeah, I think so. Our girls are definitely kind of on the quieter side, I think, when it comes to because the scrum is scrumming technically proficiently is a new thing to them. So they're very nervous about how they communicate there.
What about your scrum off?
Sometimes the less you communicate, the better.
Well, somebody in the pack has got to be the leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have someone in the back that's a leader, they're the one that should communicate to the ref. If the prop doesn't feel comfortable, if you just feel comfortable, if you have someone that's a leader in the front, that they can talk to the ref. I'm sure all the refs are open to being asked, can you have a look at this? Can you make sure they're straight? So I think that's a fair way to approach
Richard,
it.
one more point on this same subject is not picking on any one particular person, but I'm seeing an awful lot of refs who are defaulting to the throw inside as their position.
Sure.
And it's one thing at the beginning. You like to make sure the scrum halves are behaving themselves and playing nicely. But you also need to be thinking about where the problems in the scrum are likely to be.
Absolutely. And as we also discussed many times in many of these meetings, is that you have to referee every single scrum. So sometimes you might think, okay, the ball came out and that's fine, but you have to take something away from the scrum. Was everything great in the scrum? If someone was maybe starting to bore in a little bit, it's always great to get on their cases and go just that last scrum, you're going a bit of an angle, straighten up, and just referee every scrum. And you go into every scrum that you have an idea what happened in the last scrum, and you have an idea of how the next one's going to go.
Fine. Yes, there will.
So, Coach, is there anything else on that scrum, or is that okay? I think all the referees now will be looking out for that.
I appreciate it. I like the simplicity too. Just look for straight and not get. I think they always get hyper focused on the details and want to get in the weeds. But I like something simple for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things as well that I would like to take away from this game and for all the games is that what we need is to make sure that you set that first scrum up, make sure everybody's straight when they're standing. When they crouch, all their bodies are still straight when they're binding. And then when they sit, that they're all straight. And I think we don't want to see a lot of restarts in the game. There's no reason to restart it. Just get on with the game, because then nobody who sits there wants to watch restarts or resets in the scrum all day. Of course, if the scrum collapses, you got to reset it. Or if you were trying to rush something or you suddenly change your cadence and the players aren't used to it, you might have to reset the scrum. But just try and get it very steady with a consistent cadence throughout the scrum. So you don't have to keep resetting and restarting, because players get tired if they're in a crouching position all the time and you keep making them do it over and over. So let's just try and get that flow into it. Make sure the number 8's heads are in. There was a lot of slingshot going on. Not that it was really hardcore slingshot, but I'm sure the more we allow it, the better they're going to get at it, right? So let's not do that. And then I'm just going to stop sharing here for a second. So we talked about urgency, and it's got to do with like working from breakdown to breakdown to breakdown, trying to get into a consistent position so you have a consistent view of every breakdown. You come in at a 45-degree angle. Most occasions you're going to see how the breakdown plays out, and because I noticed a lot of referees were coming on square onto the breakdown. You don't necessarily, you can see the poacher going for the ball, but you can't see the tackler hasn't moved, right? And your job is to be at a 45-degree angle. First job is for the tackler to go. We're not going to reward a player on their feet with their hands on the ball if the tackler hasn't moved. So as soon as they hit the ground, the tackler's got to get out the way, and then you can reward that poacher, right? And then the last thing I wanted to just talk about was communication, and a lot of it's got to do with body language as well, So when you're looking at back lines, a good thing is I noticed a lot of referees aren't even looking across to the back line. So if you're on that attack line, it's always good to point with your arm, and when your arm moves, your head moves, and then players can see it, and players will push back, And if you push them back with your arms right in front of you, you're on the attack line, they'll take a step back. So make sure we're always creating those spaces. And then the last thing is, I'll try and get a bit more space here so you can see me in the video, is that your signaling needs to be very clear all the time, because you got a whole lot of people on the side of the field. You got the coaches, you got spectators, and you got the players on the field, and you want to communicate clearly. So make sure that your primary signal is just your primary signal in the beginning. That's all you do in the beginning. You blow your whistle and it's a penalty. And you're going to wait that moment. And in that moment that you're waiting, you're going to say, like, number 6 red, not rolling. And once you finish saying that, then you can show the one signal, and only show your signal once. Because I noticed, like, if you go, oh, it's a penalty, not rolling, all that, often when you're doing that, there's a whole lot of players around you. Nobody can see you, right? But when your arm's up for the penalty, they can all see you, or your arm's out for the scrum, you can go green knock on, red scrum, and then you show one signal. And it's just very crisp and clear. Everybody knows what's going on. And it's a really good way to communicate, and also that you come across as being very calm and in control, right? And that your decisions are accurate, we'd like to think, right? So just think about that you get the signals. And I know everybody, you all have mirrors at home, so you can go and practice in front of the mirror. People you can see it, make sure you get that right. And you can also remind yourself during the game that you get better and better at your signals. But it is 6:30. We are going to finish here. So let's make sure when we go into this next week, we're going to have fantastic signals, and our positioning and running lines are going to be a million times better. We're going to referee every single scrum, take something from one scrum to the next scrum, and then, clean up those breakdowns and create space. The sooner you do that in a game, the sooner the players understand exactly what they can and cannot do, and they'll be able to play according to the foundation that you've set. So thanks, everybody. Let's go out this week and let's step it up another couple of levels. And then next week, Wednesday, at 6:30 Eastern, we will see how fantastic everybody is. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night, Richard.